India's electric car market is gearing up for growth. Did you know that more electric vehicles were sold in the first 7 months of this year versus the entire tally last year? As the price delta between EVs and ICE vehicles curved lower thanks to government incentives, falling battery prices, and record high diesel or petrol costs, the EV market is primed for picking up speed in the race for market share. Capitalizing on an emerging trend is Volvo India, which showcased the pure electric compact SUV, the XC40 Recharge, earlier this year. To tell us more about Volvo's plans and views of the Indian electric vehicle market, we are joined by Jyoti Malhotra, MD of Volvo Auto India. Jyoti, great to have you with us. We look forward to a wide-ranging conversation, but of course, the headline is that launch, showcase rather, the XC40 Recharge. I believe it's the company's first of a family of fully electric Volvos. In less than a decade, it will only be electric. So, what are your reasons behind the ambitious bet in India?
Yeah, hi. Good evening, Gautam, and good evening to all the listeners. So, yes, I think we have some fantastic ambitions here. Specifically, if you see globally, we have committed that we want to become a fully electric car company by 2030. However, we believe in India, looking at how things are, we can do this even faster. And we are sort of gearing up for that. And as you rightly said, XC40 Recharge is going to be our first offering. We have plans to then introduce almost one electric car every year. See, one of the reasons that we have these ambitions, if you really see our global ambition and Indian government's vision, if we put them both together, this is a natural outcome. And we want to take a lead here. And I think put ourselves in this place where we want to take a lead and lead this sort of disruption or transition which is happening around us.
Well, one electric car every year. But let's start with that XC40 Recharge. What kind of consumer response is it that you expect from that model to, say, bolster Volvo's confidence in the Indian electric car market? Because an electric car every year, launching it is not an easy task. So there must be some sort of a benchmark that you keep to see how the XC40 Recharge is going to perform. What kind of benchmarks would those be?
Yeah, see, so first and foremost, I think XC40 is a very, very successful car in our portfolio. Globally, it has won many, many awards. Even here in India, we won the Premium Car of the Year ICOTY here. So this is the right platform which is well accepted, and now bringing an electric car on that will ensure that we receive a very positive response from the customer. The car platform is well accepted, and bringing an electric variant XC40 Recharge on this will ensure that we get success. And based on our early, I would say, sort of whatever we have shown to some of our dealers and the early response that we are getting already from the consumers, we are very, very confident that customers will lap it up.
All right, let me broaden the conversation. What's the reasoning behind Volvo's full shift to electric from petrol while avoiding a transition to the hybrid route in its India portfolio?
All right, so we are not, in reality, we are not avoiding. I would say that a few years back, we had brought XC90 T8 plug-in hybrid, which is still on sale in India. And it sort of has a range capacity of almost 40 kilometers on a single charge. And but however, if you really see the signals which are available from the government in terms of tax policies and many other things that we see around us, it is quite clear that government is pushing us towards a full electric or a battery electric vehicle future. And it is important that we align ourselves to this sort of a government thought. So if we put it together, what naturally comes out is that we need, and see, we keep also doing our sort of updates from the consumer through our research. So what our customers are saying right now, a very recent interview which happened earlier this year, is that customers are willing to do a transition towards petrol, and they are waiting for a right electric car to come in. Obviously, there are many questions in customers' mind, but we believe that there are a lot of customers who are now willing to move towards electric. But keeping this in mind, what we thought that we will start transitioning from diesel to petrol and parallelly start introducing our electric cars in form of our recharge range. So XC40 recharge will be the first one, and that's basically listening to our customers' voice, and looking at environment around us. We believe this is the right way we need to move in this, specifically for the Indian market.
All right, point taken. But another part of that consumer concern, and I'll ask you whether it's come up, is how will you address concerns around the after sales service network for electric vehicles, which are still early stages for all the players? You mentioned that you've got consumer insights with regards to the transition. What happens post the transition, and especially when it comes to after sales, which is a big worry since the ICE days, right? So, how does that translate over for the EV space?
You're right. I think, Gautam, see, we are all moving towards this transition. And one of the key things to ensure that we win customer confidence and we ensure that we take care of customers' concern regarding after sales is basically nothing else but skill upgradation, and ensure that all the people within our dealerships where cars are going to be serviced are fully upgraded and have a full understanding of how to take care of electric cars. In fact, I think electric cars, some of the things will become much easier, not immediately, but as more and more EVs, because of the connectivity. These cars are going to become more and more smarter. They will be connected. So a technician sitting in a remote location can actually diagnose what is going on, and a lot of I think components, especially which is related to engine and gearbox, sort of in reality goes away. So actually it becomes much simpler, it becomes much easier. Only thing we really need to ensure is that we upgrade and upskill people available at our dealerships who have to take care of the customer. So I think we go back to our consumers uh, at a time when we believe that we are fully ready, and we are already in this process of upgrading and upskilling our technicians. And when we launch our first car, we will have sufficient people who can take care of these cars. So we believe
Absolutely.
that we will be able to take care of this after sales concern. This will not be a concern. I'm very sure about it.
I think, yes, you're right in the sense that upskilling is going to be an important part to address that issue. But in the terms of a broader enabling environment here in India, Jyoti, what is needed to help Volvo sync with its global ambition to sell only electric cars throughout its range?
So see, right now, if we see specifically in India, if you talk about to, I think, sync ourselves with the global ambition, what we really need is a wide charging infrastructure. I think that is something which is very, very important. However, having said that, uh, we have our customer base here in India. I think that's the sort of category that we, what should I say, the category that we cater to. To be very honest, they are privileged customers. We are talking about a price range starting even in our ICE engines 50 lakh and above, and hence there are privileges which our customers enjoy, and which tell gives us the confidence that uh, in India our customers are not going to be dependent on the public charging to start with. They are willing and they can afford to have their own personal charging ecosystem, and especially with higher ranges, I think that will be taken. So I think the basic enabling environment here is that how do we take care of consumer anxieties which might be there because people have never used this, but we need to ensure that we work in the best possible way to build this confidence, and we are doing our best to ensure that we educate the customers when they first come in as to what is the best way to overcome this anxiety so that they can start adopting this new technology.
All right, considering we're talking about the luxury segment where two cars or three cars per household is not a rarity. So looking at it from that perspective, do you think will electric car usage at first will be, say, seen for limited range travel within the city, which is often, while petrol or diesel based cars, they'll be used for out of city travel. How do you see the confidence to use electric cars for intercity or long distance travel then build up?
So see, there obviously, I think there are concerns about travel distance of EVs, and I think, and as you see, as the technology is progressing, it is evolving, the range is going up. Nowadays, for example, when we bring our XC40 recharge, the range is going to be 400 kilometer, uh, a little bit above that, and with this sort of range, I think this is good enough for weekend getaways, especially if it is between locations where we have charging and fast charging capabilities available. However, having said that, uh, largely these cars are going to be used for within the city travel, going from your workplace. Even in Delhi, if you see a lot of people within NCR or in Mumbai travel something like 50-60 kilometers on one side, a lot of people do that. Or they have to go to, people living in Delhi, they might have a factory up there in Meerut, or they would have some business out there in Karnal. So these distances become easily accessible. If you have a range of 400 kilometers, if you need to go to a place which is like 100 kilometers, easily, without even bothering about charging, you can go and come back. If you are going a little higher, you need, and we will be supporting, let's say all our dealer facilities will also have a fast charging ecosystem, and we are developing as to how best we can support this. But I think luxury customers, as I said, being privileged, can at least afford to have a charger at their home, at their workplace. And with this, I think this will take care of even long distances. And that's why what I believe, and I have said this earlier, that as you also rightly said, that most of these customers have multiple cars. Our own data says our customers own on an average around 3 cars in the family. So in case you really have to go real long distance and really offbeat, probably that is where initially EVs may not go. But otherwise, for your travel or business travel, up to a range of even up to 400 kilometers or thereabout, one can use these cars. So I see that definitely use of EVs will happen on extended tours beyond city. That will happen.
All right. I want to understand a bit more about the customer proposition, even within this niche segment, this luxury segment, considering Volvo aims to double its sales in the next 2 years, targeting 80% of sales by its EVs. Now, since electric cars are expected to account for just 30% of total car sales only by 2030 in general, how is Volvo building its customer proposition to secure early leadership advantage versus other players as demand picks up post the pandemic lockdowns and fuel prices stay at record highs? You have a great window of opportunity. I just want to understand how you plan to capitalize on that.
Yeah. So I think the what gives us confidence globally, we are talking about moving to something like 50% of sales with EVs. However, in India, we believe we can do something like 80% of car or our own range can be EVs by 2025. And having said that, the reason that gives us this confidence and this ambition, one, as I said earlier, we have a clear roadmap of bringing one car every year of electric. That is something which will ensure that we keep building our volumes. Apart from that, one of the key things is, if you look at overall customer expectation, customers are ready to pay premium on electric vehicle versus ICE, but we have to find a sweet spot. That is very, very important, because how much premium one can charge or one is ready to pay, because this technology is costly for sure as of today. This may over a period of time change, but how do we ensure that we are able to hit that sweet spot? And we believe we should be able to be around that sweet spot and meeting customer expectations when it comes to ensuring that we are able to give a car at a price tag without compromising on the safety. As you know, Volvo stands for safety, so it is very, very important that we are able to give a electric car with all the safety features, even better safety features than what are available today, with all the latest technologies available on it, and still make this car available at a right price tag.
All
So
right.
this is something which gives us this confidence that we can, and I think all the various initiatives which central government and state governments have taken, you also talked about it in the beginning. If you put them all together, they are enablers. They will ensure that we are able to be quite near to that sweet spot.
All right. As if these enablements do come through, I want to get your view on how things expand from, say, the luxury segment to a broader adoption. Is the luxury segment going to start driving up adoption of EVs in India? And then demand from this segment in turn subsidizes, say, innovation, which leads to adoption from a wider base of cost conscious customers, as we see in, say, the technology industry, where innovative phones, which are costly at first, are brought by a base of niche or luxury customers. And by the third or fourth version of the phone, costs have come down to the reach of regular customers. What's your view on this?
Yeah. So one thing is for sure that um, luxury, especially in our car segment, luxury customers will be much faster when it comes to adoption of electric cars. One, as I said, being privileged, they have certain privileges, whether in terms of, I think, creating their own charging infrastructure. But what happens is that these customers are also sort of flag bearers in the society. What we also see is that these customers have started, especially the younger customers who can afford, are becoming more and more conscious about sustainability, about the environment, and they see that EV gives them that place that they can be responsible towards the planet, towards the environment around that. And since they are role models in the society, people around them sort of try and, I would say, copy them or try to follow their path. That will ensure that when it comes to, if you know, in your organization, let's say you are working in a plant, and let's say it's the small business unit, the owner there has bought an electric vehicle, it will spur sort of curiosity in those, everybody working there, and they will already start thinking that, can I also buy electric vehicle? I may not be able to buy maybe a Volvo, but maybe if there is a car available from Hyundai, or it is available from which he or she can afford. So this sort of thing will ensure that the demand is spurred, the curiosity is spurred, the awareness increases, and this is how I believe this whole transition will happen. So initially, the luxury segment will spur growth in EVs, and which will positively see that over a period of time we will see EVs, and they are already happening. You said already last month was highest ever, and I am sure this is just the beginning. We will keep hearing about this month after month, and this, I think, every month will become, I think, best ever over a period of time. And I believe luxury segment will play its own role and contributes towards this transition, and ultimately there will be a mass acceptance in India, and we have seen in past, in many industries, that India can, the curve of change can be much steeper here in many other countries when it comes to such changes. And I believe this transition will also see that steep change, and there will be a mass market adoption to this much faster than anybody is anticipating today. That is my belief also.
All right, but if this momentum needs to keep going, again, the lack of a widespread charging infrastructure, which you mentioned earlier as a challenge, that comes up. From a central government perspective, we have seen supportive tax policies for EVs, while from a state government perspective, we have seen 12 states come up with initiative based policies. In addition to tax friendly policies, that takes care of the policy side. But the biggest challenge, again, to address is charging infrastructure. And as per a Market Watch report, India would need around 4 lakh charging stations to accommodate the demand for 20 lakh EVs on the roads by 2026. Currently, the country has 1,800 charging stations as of March 2021. So, do you think a public private partnership model is now needed to address this issue?
I think, Gautam, you have hit the nail here. So, absolutely right. I think this cannot happen by any one entity. And the PPP, as you call it, is the best model. and without doubt, that will bring the fastest way that infrastructure can be developed here in India. Now, if you really see, when we talk about electric cars and charging, it is in a way like chicken and egg. But I already see, as you said, this as this news spreads, as people become more and more aware, you will see people coming forward and investing in creating a charging ecosystem. And it's a matter of time. Like if you really go back in history, maybe when cars first started to come here in India, how many fuel stations we would have at that point of time, and how many do we have now? And that's bound to happen now with the new open economy, and the sort of speed with which the charger facilities are improving. There are fast chargers available. You can, as we were talking, that okay, if there is a 400-kilometer range and someone has to travel from Delhi to, let's say, Chandigarh, so on the way, everybody tends to take a break. So there would be, you can anticipate and you can already expect that most of these popular joints will start providing infrastructure through this PPP model. So it's a win-win for everyone, and it will mushroom.
Mm.
And I don't think people will wait. People are already, I go to in my own social network, people are already talking about what are the best opportunities when it comes to participating in this transition. And they find the easiest way to get involved in this new wave of electric cars is, can I invest in setting up a charging station somewhere where it can become very useful. And I think you will see this happening. More customers
Mm.
will start buying, and even faster we will see people coming forward, and I think investing. And PPP is the best model for this. And if you already also see, uh, I think the government is also doing its bit from all possible angle. They have taken steps in encouraging within the Ministry of Power. They have issued some clarifications very recently in terms of, I think, the Electricity Act, I think, by which this enablement will happen. They have clarified that the charging of batteries of electric vehicles through charging stations do not require any license under the provisions of Electricity Act 2003. And I think this is, if you really see, it's an enablement in itself, because in India
Mm.
sometimes these things can come forward and become a sort of showstopper. But I think the government has already notified this, and this will ensure that more and more private players come forward under this PPP model, and we will see this happen again faster than anybody can anticipate.
All right. You mentioned the pricing sweet spot and getting there for EV vehicles. How important is it going to be for, from a perspective of local assembly of electric cars? And in your view, where's the progress at? And when do you see it helping bringing down the higher cost of manufacturing to drive up volumes of electric cars in India?
Yeah, so I believe local assembly is obviously very important for all the automakers, and is definitely going to help to bring down the cost in whichever possible way. All of us, all automakers will definitely consider local assembly of electric cars to bring down the cost. We are currently our own ICE models, XC90, S90, XC60. We are already assembling here in India. We are already looking at possibility of adding more cars here,
Mm.
and
Mm.
even XC40. We have already initiated studies of looking at uh, by when at the earliest we can start assembling these cars here in India as well. So absolutely, if we look at our overall tax structure
Mm.
and overall, uh, especially to achieve the sweet spot I was talking about, local assembly will be very, very critical,
It'll make a
and
difference.
it will make a difference. And it maybe the route probably is, initially we will have to bring these cars as CBU,
Mm.
and the smaller time, interim time we have between our CBU introduction and our CKD introduction, that can ensure that we can uh, achieve that sweet spot easily. The longer that time, it becomes difficult. So it sort of propels us to set up our CKD faster than otherwise.
All right, let me ask you a last question. What does India need to do to become not just an EV user market, but also a manufacturing and export hub for electric vehicles? What lessons can the EV ecosystem learn from the IC industry's experience in becoming an export powerhouse?
So I think first and foremost, I would say, as we have seen a lot of government, whether it's central government or state governments, they have taken a lot of initiatives, and we really appreciate government have given very clear signals that they are behind this EV revolution. Even today, earlier in the day, Mr. Nitin Gadkari talked about what all is being done with this
Mhm.
regard. So, what we really need, number one concern I can tell you is stability of policies, and whatever is being done, these things should continue. And directionally, we are already seeing that when it comes to any type of support, government is forthcoming, coming forward and talking about what they can do. But what we would need is stability, whether it is
All right.
any type of taxation or any other thing. And as auto companies, we will have to do our bit to ensure that we also participate in developing and sort of creating this confidence locally here.
Understood. All right. On that note, it's time to put the brakes on our conversation around the dynamics at work for India's electric vehicle ecosystem. Jyoti, thank you so much for joining us and sharing with us your thoughts on the topic. And of course, thank you to our viewers for tuning in. This is Gautam Srinivasan signing off.
Thank you, Adam. Have a good evening. Bye
Thank
bye.
you. You too.